Once the intruder got into the living room, he realized what had happened and covered his nose. He looked at the unconscious Chantel on the ground and the gun which had fallen off her hand. Holding in his breath, he picked her up and threw her over his shoulder. He covered his nose once again and was about to walk away when Minhu threw a knife at him from behind. He swiftly moved to the side, dodging the knife which got stuck in the door. He turned and stared at Minhu, who pointed a gun at him and said, "Let her go, otherwise I will blow off your brains." The man regarded Minhu for a while and smiled. Minhu felt he had seen the intruder before, since he looked quite familiar. He kept staring at him and finally lifted his brows in realization. "Anthony Park?" "Indeed I am," the man replied. "I came to fetch my sister at the request of her father." Minhu sighed. What was the need to be so sneaky about it? Cell phones exist for a reason, and Jinwoo Park definitely knows how to contact me. Isn't it interesting that when Chantel needed you most, you were incommunicado? She could have died in Busan all because she needed your help. Put her down right this instant. You seem to have so many complaints about me, and you seem really angry too. You should take a chill pill because I am not the enemy here. Anthony replied, "That is extremely hard to believe right now. I don't care whose orders you are following, but Chantel is an adult. She will leave only when she has come to, and agrees that she wants to go with you." Minhu barked. "Fair enough," Anthony said and put Chantel down on a chair. "I learned you are a cop. Tell me, Minhu, does Chantel know how you feel about her? It's written all over you. A word of advice, Minhu, kill those feelings while you can. You and Chantel are on opposite sides of the law. Also, Jinwoo Park will never consent to your relationship." Minhu walked into the kitchen and came out a minute later with a cup of drink. Anthony was now sitting on the chair opposite Chantel and was staring at her. "What makes you so sure that Jinwoo will oppose our love?" Minhu asked. Anthony was silent for a while. He watched as Minhu tilted Chantel's head, opened her mouth, and gently fed her the drink. When Minhu was done, he looked at Anthony and raised his brows. Anthony leaned back and crossed his legs. Before now, it wouldn't have mattered, but Chantel killed Dong-hyun. Minhu scoffed, so? Anthony got up and put his hands into his pockets. "You don't get it, do you? Dong-hyun was the leader of all the gangs. Since he died at Chantel's hands, only she has the right to become the next leader. Unless she decides to give up that right, which I doubt she would want to do. You see, not only is it a thing of honor, but rejecting such a position will make the Black Vipers vulnerable. They have already lost so many men and are not as strong as they used to be. The next leader would likely want to toe the path of Dong-hyun and get rid of the Black Vipers. Don't ask me why, it's just the way it works. Now if Chantel accepts the position and becomes the leader, she will be the first female and the youngest person to ever hold this position. It comes with a lot of challenges, responsibilities, and risks. She will not be able to lead a normal life, and as such will need a suitable partner. Not a cop, but a strong and powerful gang leader. She will have to choose from various options, and by that I mean from the different gangs. Don't misunderstand me, and think I am looking down on you. I appreciate all you've done for Chantel, and I'm sure her parents do too. However, it's time for you to say goodbye, Minhu." "Say goodbye to who?" Chantel, who had just woken up, asked. They both turned their attention to her. "You're awake." Minhu sat beside her and hugged her. "How do you feel, and why did you leave the room when I asked you not to?" Chantel stared at him with a guilty expression on her face. "I'm sorry, Minhu. I was worried that you'd get hurt. I wanted to protect you." Minhu smiled and caressed her cheeks. "I've told you to always trust me, Chantel. Thankfully, it wasn't an enemy, otherwise you would have been hurt or worse, killed." "You two should get a room," Anthony mumbled. Minhu looked up at him. "We were just about to do that." "Come on, Chantel. Let's go back to what we were doing before we were rudely interrupted." Chantel got up under Minhu's guidance, and they began making their way back to the bedroom. "Hey," Anthony yelled. "What the hell do you both think you're doing? Does it look like I have nothing better to do with my time?" "Chantel, I came here for you, but you don't seem to care about that. Chantel turned and stared at him. For me? Well, forgive me if I'm not so excited to see you. You weren't there when I needed you, and you've got some nerve, asking Minhu to say goodbye to me. Anthony chuckled. Wow. I like you, Chantel. You're so sweet. No wonder Minhu is so crazy about you. Now let's focus on the real issue here. Donghyun may be dead, but the danger hasn't passed. There's so much you need to know and do. Your dad is worried about you. That's why he sought my help. And as for not being there when you needed me, I'm very sorry. Chantel, you're family, and that means you are very important to me. If I had even the slightest idea about what was happening, I would have run to your aid. Chantel nodded. I see. Look, I know it's not my business, and I apologize if I sound rude, but tell me, what do you plan on doing with the woman you kept in your house? Anthony threw his head back and laughed. Marry her, I guess. Do you love her? Chantel asked. I don't know why it matters to you, but I don't have the luxury of love. Love makes you weak, Chantel, and in time, you will realize the truthfulness of my words. As for the woman in my house, let's just say marrying her serves a purpose. I might change my mind, though. It depends on my mood. Chantel smiled. I guess I like you too, Anthony. Leave your address. Minhu and I will come over tomorrow. As he said earlier, you interrupted something really sweet and magical, and I cannot wait to get back to it. Gross, Anthony replied. I'm out of here. Chantel chuckled as he walked away from the house while Minhu followed behind him. Once he was gone, Minhu locked the door and went back to Chantel. She pushed him toward one of the chairs, and when he sat down, she got on his body. Whoa, take it easy, princess, Minhu said, trying to get her off his body. As much as my body craves for this, you need to get as much rest as possible because of what you just went through. Chantel smiled at him and caressed his lips. I need to tell you something, Minhu. I'm all ears, Minhu replied. I'm not wearing anything underneath, she whispered. Do you know what this means? She asked and kissed his ear. Minhu felt his heart race and wanted to speak, but she whispered into his ear. Shh. Be quiet and make love to me, Minhu. He looked into her eyes, cupped her cheeks, and kissed her deeply. When the passion was spent, they showered together and went back to bed. They lay facing each other, and Minhu suddenly remembered what Anthony Park had said. He decided not to dwell on it, but in the end, he could not help himself and asked her, Chantel, what if you really have to say goodbye to me? Chantel stared at him in surprise. What nonsense are you saying? Minhu shook his head. It's not nonsense, Chantel. I want to know, what will you do if your parents ask you to let me go? Please don't say such things, Minhu, Chantel replied. All I know is that, no matter what happens, even if the sky falls down, I will never let you go. Sahu opened his eyes and looked around him. He was on a bed in a room, and one of his hands was bandaged. He struggled to sit up with great difficulty, and at this point, a man walked into the room. I can see you're awake, Sahu. It's time to get to business, Cobra said to him. You were the one who saved me, Sahu stated the obvious. Thank you. Cobra regarded him for a while and sighed. I'm sorry about your dad. He was already dead when I arrived at the scene. I know, Sahu gritted his teeth. I also know who killed him, and I want her dead. No matter what it costs, she must die. Chantel Park, Cobra asked. Sahu nodded. How did you know? You were mumbling her name in your subconscious state. But she is just one little girl. How was she able to bring down the wolves? I still find it hard to believe, Cobra explained. She had help, Sahu replied. I want them all dead. Every single one of them should be killed. Your father and I had an agreement, and his death poses a huge setback in my plans. I saved you hoping that you would be of use to me. Without the chip, we have nothing to talk about. Cobra told him. I know where my father kept the chip, and I will give it to you, Sahu said to Cobra, and the latter sighed in relief. I want Chantel to die in the most painful way. No one should forget it in a hurry, and all those who love her should grieve terribly for her before sharing the same fate. Sahu added, Cobra smiled. I like the way you think, but is it what I am thinking? Sahu nodded. Yes, a public execution. I will supply you with the name of Chantel's university and every other information you need. Didn't you want a target point? Well, I just got you one. Chantel Park will never know what hit her. As long as you deliver the chip, we have a deal, Cobra replied. Minhu and Chantel alighted from his aircraft. A car picked them up and drove them to the address Anthony Park had given to them. Once they got to the gate, Minhu stopped. Chantel looked at him in surprise. What happened? Let's go in, Minhu. I will go in just to make sure you are safe, but I will wait for you at the hotel. Once you are ready to see me, just let me know and I will come here. Chantel shook her head. No, Minhu. Let's go in together. We are not meeting strangers, but my parents. Are you afraid to meet my parents? Minhu smiled. Silly girl, why will I be afraid to meet your parents? Have you forgotten that I've spoken to your dad before? Your mom has not seen you since she woke up, and you've not had the opportunity to speak to your dad. You all have a lot of catching up to do, so I'm giving you guys some privacy. But you told me that Park said the danger has not passed. We should stick together, Minhu. I can take care of myself, Minhu replied. Come, let me take you in. He held Chantel's hand and led her into the compound. There were more than 100 armed men inside the compound, stationed in different locations. They bowed before Chantel the moment they saw her. Chantel noticed the fresh black viper tattoos on those whose arms were exposed. She nodded curtly and walked toward the door. Once they stood in front of it, Minhu stopped and stared at her. She looked at him with a sad expression on her face. However, he smiled and cupped her cheeks. I love you, Chantel, he said before kissing her. Anthony opened the door at this time, and when he saw the both of them kissing, exclaimed, Are you kidding me? Before closing the door. Minhu and Chantel laughed. Afterward, she waved Minhu goodbye and watched him walk away before going inside the house. Minhu left. Anthony asked once she went in. Chantel nodded. She noticed that Anthony was the only one sitting in the living room and said, Hey, Park. Perfect timing, by the way. Anthony shook his head. You are impossible. The men outside are. Yes. In order to regain their position, the Black Vipers needed reinforcements. Don't worry, they were all handpicked by me and can be trusted to some degree. Anthony cut in. I will never trust any one of them, Chantel replied. Smart thinking, Anthony said. Your parents are waiting upstairs. After speaking, Anthony got up and walked out while Chantel went up to meet her parents. Her dad was lying on the bed, and her mom was sitting by his side when she went into their room. Mom, she exclaimed, ran to her mother, and hugged her. My Chantel, I've been dying to see you, her mom said as they hugged. You're looking good, Dad, Chantel chuckled. Jinwoo sat up and caressed her cheeks when she sat by his side. My little warrior, how are you? He asked. Never better, Chantel replied happily. To be honest, after the accident, I lost my will to live. Without both of you, I didn't know what to do. Then I got to learn that the wolves were behind everything and were keeping you both alive to extract information from you. Finding you both was what drove me. Being a novice, I made a lot of mistakes, but Minhu was there for me. Many times I nearly died. He was there to save my life. Jinwoo stared at Valerie briefly and back at Chantel before sighing. Minhu seems like such a great man. I will be happy to meet him when I am strong enough to move. I need to properly thank him for everything he did, especially keeping my princess alive. Chantel smiled. Of course you will. Meanwhile, I heard from Park that the danger hasn't passed. Is there someone in particular I need to be wary of? Jinwoo sighed again. I will give anything to not put so much burden on you, Chantel. What are you talking about? Chantel asked. The news that Donghyun died at your hands has spread among all the gangs, Jinwoo explained. But I was only protecting my family, Chantel replied. Surely, that is not a crime among the gangs. Jinwoo shook his head. No, it's not, my dear. But being the one who killed Donghyun, Only you have the right to take over his position. And why would I want to do that? Chantel asked. Let me break it down for you. Jinwoo continued. There are 2 ways to become the overall leader of all the gangs. 1. Kill the leader in power. 2. Assume the position when it gets to your turn, which is after every 50 years. Of course, if a leader dies from a different cause, his next of kin will take over. If he has no next of kin, during the next quarterly meeting, gang representatives will cast their votes and a new leader will be chosen. Now, Donghyun took over because our family held the position for over 50 years, and it was his turn. Donghyun died at your hands, which makes you the next candidate for the leadership position. It comes with a lot of risks and responsibilities, so you can decide to give it up and someone else will be voted in. However, if you do so, your life and that of your family will be in danger. Chantel shrugged. Then I will just be the leader. How hard can it be? You did it for years, so I'm sure you can coach me to be the best. Jinwoo smiled at her. I wish it were that easy, Chantel. The rules are different for women. You will be the first female to ever lead the gang, and the quarterly meeting comes up in 3 months. This means that before that time, men from all the other gangs will try to take you out so they can be the next candidate. Chantel smiled. You seem really worried, father, but I'm not that helpless. If I understand you correctly, no matter what decision I take, my life will be in danger, right? Yes, but after your inauguration in 3 months, most of the gangs will be loyal to you, and the rest will be too scared to make a move against you because of the power you wield. You will have the final say when it comes to making decisions, and also, you will travel around the world and form relationships with so many powerful people. Jinwoo explained further. I can do it, Chantel said. All I have to do is stay safe and not die within the next 3 months, right? Easy peasy. It's not that easy, Chantel, Valerie interjected. Chantel got up and placed her hands on her waist. I am ready, Mum, Dad. Trust me, I can handle it all. I am Chantel Park after all. Jinwoo stared at Valerie again before looking up at Chantel and saying sadly, It's not just that, Chantel. You will have to let go of the cop. Chantel dropped her hands and stared at Jinwoo in surprise. I don't understand. Minhu. Jinwoo nodded. As I said, the rules are different for females. You need to quickly cut off from Minhu and pick a suitable suitor from one of the gangs. You will have to get engaged to him before your inauguration and get married 2 months after that. Chantel took a step back as her face fell in surprise. Minhu pulled up in front of one of Anthony Park's houses and called Chantel's number. I'm outside, Chantel. Do you want me to come in? No, it's fine, Chantel replied. I will come to you. She came out of the house and got into the Bugatti Minhu had driven. Nice ride, she said. Did you just buy it? Minhu nodded. Yes. We are going to be in Busan for a few days, so I decided to get something different. I love it, Chantel replied. The ride to the hotel Minhu had booked was a quiet one. Chantel kept thinking about the conversation she had shared with her parents. They told her to take her time before making up her mind. Her dad also suggested that she stay with them at home and not go anywhere until it was time for her inauguration. That was if she decided to become the next leader. It was as though she was stuck between a rock and a hard place. She knew she had to tell Minhu about it. He was going to be worried, but it was important for him to know. Once they arrived at the hotel, they both got out of the car, and Minhu led the way to his hotel room. As they got into the room, Chantel hugged him from the back. He turned and took her into his arms. After hugging for a while, they sat down and Minhu said, I noticed we were being followed on our way here. Chantel gasped, Really? She had been lost in her thoughts and did not observe her surroundings. Perhaps she felt at ease because she was with Minhu. Don't worry about it, Minhu replied. I recognized some of them. They are some of the new Black Vipers. It seems your dad sent them to keep you safe. Chantel sighed. Minhu, I need to tell you something. I think I know what you want to say, Minhu replied. You do? He nodded. Anthony told me about it when he sneaked into my house. Chantel recalled how she had woken up to overhear Anthony advising Minhu to separate from her. "That's why you asked me that question while we were lying on your bed," she told him. "What do I do, Minhu? I know I can take care of myself, and my parents want me to be happy, but ensuring that I am powerful enough to protect them is one of the things I really want. I think of giving up on the position of leader, but will I ever be able to forgive myself if something happens to them and I am not strong enough to go against my enemies?" "Listen to me," Minhu replied. "First of all, you need to be sure of what you really want. Once you are sure of what you would never trade, we can proceed from there." Chantel smiled at him. "That's easy, Minhu. You and my parents' lives. I can never trade you guys for anything." Minhu got up. "Then we should be focusing on the law that threatens your happiness. Whoever made that law must have looked down on women or never thought any woman would be capable enough to get the position. If we can get them to amend the law before your inauguration, then everything should be fine." Chantel also got up. "You have a point, Minhu. But will you be able to love someone who is a mafia leader? As a cop, doesn't it go against everything you believe in?" Minhu nodded. "Yes. I will admit that it seems that way. But I know you, Chantel. You are more honorable than a lot of cops. Also, I do not intend to ever let you go. If you wish, I can join one of the gangs as long as it makes you happy." "But it won't make you happy, Minhu," Chantel replied. "You've been a cop for so long. Asking you to give that up is one thing, but asking you to become a mafia gang member? I can't do that. No matter how honorable I may seem, there are still a lot of illegal activities that the Black Vipers engage in, but I turn a blind eye as long as no innocent person is killed. It is even worse in other gangs. That is just how the mafia world is. It will be selfish of me to do that to you." Minhu caressed her face and kissed her. "I love you too, Chantel." "All right, being a gang member is not an option for me then. So let's explore other options. Come sit down." They both sat down again, and Minhu asked, "Is there a way we can get the law amended?" "There has to be a way. My dad would know," Chantel replied. She took out her phone and called her father. When he answered the call, she asked, "Dad, I would like to know, who has the right to amend the law that mandates an overall female mafia leader to get married to a gang member?" "It's the overall leader," her father replied. "However, the leader will have to discuss it with all the gangs before making any changes." "I'm sorry, Chantel, but there's currently no overall leader since Dong Hyun is dead, and you are next in line. No one can amend the law. Not when the seat is vacant." "All right. Thank you, Dottie," Chantel replied before the call ended. She sighed defeatedly, but her eyes suddenly lit up when an idea came into her mind. She got up and said, "Why didn't I think of this before? I have a good idea, Minhu." "Really? Tell me," Minhu urged. She excitedly explained. "Well, since all I have to do is get engaged before my inauguration, I can make a deal with one of the gangs. I'll get engaged to a gang member who seems capable. Then, after my inauguration, I will amend the law. Afterward, I will call off my engagement to him, pay him off, and we can both be together peacefully. I just have to figure out who will be perfect for the role." Minhu, however, did not seem happy with this plan. He shook his head. "It's too dangerous, Chantel. Most of the gangs are desperate for your position. You shouldn't make a deal with anyone because you can get stabbed in the back." "Listen to me," Chantel replied. "We don't have a better choice. I have you by my side, so why should I worry? We will do a thorough investigation and only pick someone good enough to be trusted with this. Minhu, please say yes. I can't do this without you." She stared at him expectantly as he hesitated. In the end, Minhu sighed. "All right, as long as you are happy, let's do it." Chantel smiled at Minhu and hugged him. "Thank you, Minhu." "So who is going to be our candidate?" Minhu asked. "To get the answer, we need to look at all the different gangs and the men at the top. My dad did say that the law specifies that whoever I take as my partner has to be someone at the top." "Okay, so who would it be?" Minhu asked. I moved all the information about the gangs to my mail before I left the house because I had to give the flash drive back to my dad. So we can just look at the information of all the different gangs, and we'll be able to make our decision. All right, let's do that, Minhu replied. They began to look through the information of the different gang leaders and those who were working at the top. After going through more than 40, Chantel's attention was finally focused on 2. I think these 2 are worthy candidates. What do you think, Minhu? Minhu looked at the first one. He was called Ashton and belonged to the Red Tiger gang. Ashton's father was already old and about to retire, and Ashton had been groomed to take over as the next leader. He was 28 years old. He was a university graduate and studied medicine. He had never had any altercation or any fight with anyone from any gang. He was a peace-loving person. He also did not womanize. There were no scandals around him. He seems too good to be true, Minhu said. Chantel smiled. He is, trust me, this information is all accurate. I picked him because, as we've seen from his record, he doesn't really have any problems. Of course, he must have a girlfriend or something, but this is just an arrangement. Once we get him to agree, I will part with a lot of money. His gang is one of the poorest, and they haven't been around for long either. So I really feel he'll take the deal. 28 years old, Minhu replied. Why not go for someone more mature in age? No, I think his age is quite okay, Chantel said. Let's look at the next candidate, Minhu replied. The next candidate was from the Black Dragons. He was 33 years old and into politics as he had studied political science at the university. He also did not have any scandals around him. He graduated peacefully from university, and his gang was poor too. Yeah, there's not much on these 2 because there's nothing really exciting about them, Minhu said. But what do you think about the second guy? You mean Dragon? Yeah, Minhu nodded. He's 33, so I think he's more mature. Not only that, he also... I think I need to show you a better picture of him, Chantel said. She opened his picture and showed it to Minhu. The moment he saw the picture, Minhu shook his head. This is why you can never trust headshots. Why does he have to look so weird? Chantel chuckled. I don't know, but if I should pick him, everyone would be suspicious. Like, why would I want to marry someone who looks like a giant? Also, his stomach is too big for his age, so I think Ashton is the best candidate. All right then, what are we going to do first? Minhu asked. Once we meet up with Ashton and tell him about what we've agreed. I can offer him 5 million or 10, right? I will offer him that much, and then once we get engaged, I'll give him 40% of the agreed amount. After my inauguration, I'll give him the remaining 60%. It would be a win-win for him. His reputation would be boosted as a one-time fiancé of the first female leader, and he would walk away with a lot of money. Who wouldn't want that? Well, yeah. If the reputation that we've been made to believe is true, then that will be fine, Minhu said. Chantel nodded. All right then, Ashton it is. The earlier we get to him, Chantel, the better. We do not want to lag behind. So he's back home in Seoul. Are we going to be traveling? I think my dad should know about it. Chantel replied. Wouldn't he worry too much if you told him? I think we can make the journey to Seoul and back before the end of today. You think so? She asked him. Yeah, Minhu replied. From the call we made to your dad, he should already figure out what your decision is. Besides, he has men tailing you. I'm sure they'll follow you all the way. You have a point, Chantel said. Come on, let's go. They quickly left the hotel and began the journey back to Seoul through a private aircraft. Just as Minhu had said, the moment the plane landed, they both noticed that some of the underlings had followed them, using a different plane. How did they know where we were headed? Chantel wondered. You have a point, Minhu said. Is your GPS turned on? It's possible they're tracking your number. Chantel checked her phone and realized that they were indeed tracking her number. Oh great, now my dad knows I'm back here. It's not a big deal. The fact that he hasn't called you means he knows that everything is fine. So we're heading to the Red Tigers, right? Chantel nodded. Yeah, It tells me here that their mansion is located on the outskirts of the city, which is good enough. Let's go. A car quickly picked them up, and the driver came off while Minhu took the wheels as they made their way to the Red Tiger's mansion. Just as they got closer to their destination, an attack was made on them, and some men began shooting at their car. Shit, Chantel cursed. They're after my life. How did they find me so soon? Relax, Minhu replied. Don't worry, nothing is going to happen. He quickly wound up the bulletproof windows and continued driving. However, the men kept shooting at them until Minhu veered off to the wrong lane. He almost ran into a bus that was coming in the opposite direction and swerved off the road one more time to stop them from getting into an accident. But his car crashed into a big trash can and finally came to a stop. There was smoke coming out from the car, and Minhu quickly looked behind, noticing that the men who were shooting at them were nowhere to be found. Chantel quickly came out of the car, and they began to run. They ran towards the right side of the road, going downward until they were finally able to take cover. They both stood by a tree, observing and watching to see if they'd recognize the men who were after them. At this time, though, Chantel's phone rang. She answered the call, although it was a strange number. Yes. Boss, we have caught the men who made an attempt on your life, a voice told her. Who are you? She asked. I'm Runjin, one of the men your dad sent to watch after you. Oh, where are you now? Chantel asked. We're on the other side of the road, from where your car is parked. There were 2 men shooting at you, and they were on bikes. I just questioned them, and they got their orders from one of the gangs to take you out. Is that so? Chantel asked. All right, I'll be right there. After the call ended, Chantel said to Minhu, that was a black viper. He just saved our asses. Can we trust him? I mean, we don't even know who this caller is. Minhu replied. He said he's on the other side of the road, Chantel said. I'll find out. Hold on, I'll go check it out, Minhu told her. No, Minhu. It's risky, Chantel said, trying to stop him. Relax, you're the one they want, not me, Minhu replied. He walked closer to the road until he was able to get a good view. From where he stood, he saw some of the underlings who had followed him and Chantel. They were about 8, and he saw the 2 men they had caught with their hands tied behind. Since it was the outskirts of the city, the roads were deserted, and there were only a few cars passing. He recognized some of the underlings since he had earlier seen them at Anthony Park's house in Busan. So, he walked back to Chantel and said, It's safe, we can go. They crossed the road and went to the other side. Chantel stared at the 2 underlings and asked, Why? Why did you take the risk of making an attempt on my life? One of the underlings replied, I'm sorry, we were only following orders. All right, that's fair enough, Chantel said. She looked at the underling who had called her and smiled. Runjin, thank you. Enum, these 2 men should be sent to my dad. I'm sure he'd know what to do with them. The moment they heard that they were being sent to Chantel's father, the men began to beg. Please don't send us to him. It was a mistake. Chantel ignored their words and asked Runjin, Can I borrow one of your cars? I can see you guys have 4 of them. Sure, boss, Runjin replied. He handed her the keys to one of the cars. Afterward, she got into the car with Minhu, and they continued on their mission. Thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so as to get notified when we drop new stories. Like and share to family and friends, and finally tell us where you're watching from in the comment section, and we will see you in our next video.